Hello, everyone. My name is Paola. Welcome to Mindalia TV live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to watch the interviews and talks organized by MindaliaTV.com. In this occasion, we have Angel Ribo, who is a CEO consultant, TV host, international speaker, and president of Wisdom. I'm president for Wisdom Kids. This day, Angel will be conducting an interview to Mark Alyn titled "How to Speak to Your Health Provider." Mark is a professional host and producer for late night health radio. He provides creative direction for educational marketing and web videos, along with the production of audio programming. Right before we welcome our guest and we go ahead with the interview, I would like to remind you that if you would like to help the world through Mindalia TV, there's a few things that you can do. One of them is subscribing to our YouTube channel, Mindalia TV. Another one is to like this video, and another one is to leave a positive comment down below the screen. Please note that by doing so, you help us reach even more people around the world who can benefit from the content of our channel. To allow your live interaction, you can also use the chat on your screen and ask the questions that you would like to our guest, Mark Alyn, who by the end of the interview will kindly answer to them. Without further delay, please welcome Angel Ribo and Mark Alyn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paula, for the introduction. Hey, Mark, it's a big pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you, Angel. It's great to be here. I really appreciate the introduction, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. So I have to make a confession to start our conversation tonight, Mark, and it's going to be a confession to our audience.
All right.
I think that it's only a few times that we have really had a hard time finding the right title for a conversation with someone. And the reason being is that Mark has a wealth of experience talking to experts on health. So, Mark, how do you feel yourself when you start your show every time that you have it on air?
Well, Angel, it's a good question, and it's a great kickoff place for us because I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm a talk show host. I've interviewed thousands and thousands, probably 30,000 plus people over the last number of years. I won't give you that number, but I ask questions from a consumer standpoint, from the audience's standpoint. So if I go to a doctor and the doctor says, you should do this, this, and this, I always ask why. And so when I'm interviewing an author, a doctor, somebody in either a traditional health field or alternative health field, I always think of myself as being the voice of the consumer, because that's what I am. I'm really a healthcare consumer advocate.
Beautiful. So I guess that then you have asked a lot of different questions, right? And a lot of unique questions. Let's put it this way, or unconventional questions.
Yes.
And what are typically the answers? Would you say that typically everybody is open to answer those questions?
Well, let's take a little behind the scenes look first. Many of our guests come from publishing houses. They've written a book and their publisher is promoting them and asked me to interview the author on whatever topic it is. And along with the book comes a list of questions that are called, requested or suggested questions. You get this too, I'm sure. And I very rarely look at those questions. And the reason is because that person's going to be on 50 or 60 or 20 or how many radio shows or TV shows. I want late night health and my interview to stand out. So I don't ask the same questions. I ask some basics. I'll give you an example, Maggie. I'll use the example I gave just before we started tonight. I have a guest coming up, and in our pre-interview that I did, this man was very sick. He had a stroke, a massive stroke. He was very young. And I asked him, I said, after you started to recover, what about sex? And he sputtered and well, huh? I said, well, are you capable of having sex? Do you engage in sex? And he said yes, with his wife. And afterwards, he said, nobody's ever asked me that before. But that would be one of the first things that, God forbid, I had a stroke. I would still want to have an active sex life. I hope that answered your question.
You bet. So what would you say is the number one concern that consumers have as far as health goes?
Oh my. All right. Starting with people who are 50 and over, their biggest concern to me are threefold. One, I want to wake up tomorrow morning and every morning and know that I'm me. In other words, they don't want dementia of any kind. Dementia is scary. We don't know enough about it, and they want to know about it. The second topic would be healthcare insurance. I mean, our healthcare system is broken here in the US. And I don't have any answers, folks. I wish I did. And the third issue goes back to the first question. I want to live to be 120. I want to be able to sustain and be on my own. I want to maintain a great life. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. And I want to know who I am. I believe those are the three top issues facing consumers 50 plus.
Would you say those consumers are typically like the majority of your audience, Mark?
Yeah, our audience skews older. That means that we have older people listening. However, there are a lot of young people listening as well. It surprises me, to be honest. But the older people are there to turn back the clock. The younger people are there to stop the clock where they are.
Let's go to this number one and number three, like feeling that they are still capable of reaching and having a normal life while they age, or at the same time that they age.
Right.
Why would you say that it's so difficult to age with a good health today?
Well, I think part of the problem is our foods. We've done many interviews on food as medicine, and food as medicine is something that makes sense to me. And so we talk about it. The fact is that we don't eat right in this country. As you know, I just came back from Spain, and there was no GMOs. The food was always fresh. The people were all happy and very helpful when I got lost, and boy, did I get lost. But we live in a fast food society here in the United States. And I have to tell you, on every corner in Barcelona and Sevilla, there's a McDonald's or a Burger King. I found the one Taco Bell in Sevilla. I did not go into those. We did eat at a McDonald's because I wanted to see if they were the same as they are here in the US, and they're better because the meat was better. There was more meat and about the same price.
So interesting. So you would say food is definitely one of the reasons why people are so concerned about their future when they are close to or over 50. What other issues would you say besides food?
The E word. You don't know what the E word is?
What is the E word?
The E word is exercise.
Okay.
Most people don't do it. If you turn 65 and you have a Medicare supplement, you're automatically enrolled in many cases in a program called Silver Sneakers. And I should do an interview with these guys. And what they do at Silver Sneakers is they've arranged through your Medicare supplement program, gym membership. So they hand you a card and you can go to almost any gym you want. And that's great. So the story is they hand you a card and you've got the card and you say, am I going to lose weight with this card? Yes, you will. Well, you have to go to the gym. You have to use the card. And many people are still not exercising, either not right, not enough time, or they just don't do it in general because they don't have time.
So we have food, we have exercise. Is there anything else that you think there is? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And that would be supplementation. I was just talking to several people today about supplements. Supplements are vitamins. Our earth has been poorly treated over the years with preservatives, with insecticides, fungicides, pesticides of all kinds. And we expect our vegetables to grow, and they don't have the nutrient value that they did, say, even 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And I think this is a big problem. So I think that we need to supplement, especially those of us over 50. One day you will get there. Okay, Angel? One day. And what it does, supplements, I think, are vital to maintaining good health. So just before we started, I took some. You probably saw me do that. And I take them every day when I remember. That's a joke. Because I don't think our foods, even organic foods, don't have the nutrients that they once did.
Right. Any other variable in the equation?
Yeah, love. We have a mutual friend, Robert Clancy, and Robert says that love is the most powerful thing in the universe. It's non-ending. So when you love somebody, it actually can make you feel better. Think about being an elderly person alone with no close family. Wouldn't it be great to bring this person into your family and give him some love or her some love? Because love heals all. Love is very powerful, and that can be a life changer for that person. But there's more. The person giving the love, I feel, gets even more than the person receiving it.
Wow. That's a powerful message.
One that I've learned from you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very generous, Mark. Thank you. Thank you so much. So there's so much into aging, right? There's so much into that very beautiful sentence of waking up the following day and still, feeling yourself powerful and able to do anything. So what would you say is the number one thing that, if we already know this, are there small things that we could start doing like today to make a change, to make a small change in any of those different categories that you just mentioned, Mark?
Yeah. When you go to the market, look at lettuce, okay? Look at the price of a head of organic lettuce and a price of traditionally grown lettuce. It's usually not more than a few pennies, maybe even $1. So if you're one person or a couple and you buy organic, it shouldn't cost more than a few dollars more. Now that's our current status. I don't understand something. Maybe Angel, you have the answer to this. Why organic foods cost more money? There's no pesticides. There's no fertilizer. There's no chemicals. That right there is a savings to the farmer. Why does it then cost so much more? Or does it have there's a theory that it costs more. If it does, it's not that much more, and it shouldn't cost more. It's easier to grow. Or so it would seem to me.
And have you been able to interview maybe some, organic produce growers in the country that could maybe help us understand that or the answer to that question?
I've interviewed a number of experts, not from the farming side, but from the medical and health side. And most of the people that we interview, they are in the same club, if you will, that I am. That organic is better. That traditional or conventionally grown vegetables may not have the same nutrient value and possibly have things like pesticide residue, insect residue, and things like that.
Okay, so we have already one very simple thing we can do, like watch thoroughly what you buy in the supermarket and the grocery store.
Absolutely. And look at the labels for preservatives. You want things as unpreserved as you can. Simple, easy, tasty, and of course healthy.
What about exercising? What about the E word? Is there anything that very, very simply can suggest people that have a hard time doing that?
Yeah. Were you athletic as a kid?
A little bit, yes.
A little bit. Okay. I was not. In high school, I remember throwing a race. I didn't cheat exactly, but we were running in the track, or we were going to run in the track. And so I stood next to my friend who was overweight. And he said, "I'll see you in about 20 minutes. I said, "What do you mean 20 minutes? We'll be done in 4. He says, "No, it takes me forever to do this race because of my weight." And he said, "I've always been last since the 3rd or 4th grade." And I said, "Really?" Because I always come in, I came in the middle to the end in running. And he won that day. He won because he beat me because I threw the race. Of course, the coach yelled at me and screamed at me, but I was proud of myself. I gave this kid some self-esteem. And a lot of people do not take that first step. And that's what counts. Get your gym membership, watch videos on TV, do something, move. That's the important thing. Human beings, according to the people that I've interviewed over the years, were not designed to sit all the time. We were designed to move all the time. So instead of being couch or chair potatoes, get off your tush and go for a walk after the show, not now.
Would just like a short walk make a difference in their lives?
Yeah, according to studies that I've read and people I've interviewed, yeah, just a simple walk. It helps the joints, it helps your back, and most importantly, it helps your mind because you're outside, you're hearing birds, you're hearing nature. Even if you're in New York City or Philadelphia, there are places for you to walk. Even LA, where I'm in, you can walk. There are great places to be and to walk. And walking is tremendous.
Let's go for another of your ingredients, magic ingredients for health, which is supplements. Maybe the question I would like to share with you is, when I go to a pharmacy, grocery store, there's probably hundreds, if not even over 1,000 different products over there. How do you do it to really pick the right one so you know that you're taking really something that is going to impact positively your health?
I would go to a nutritionist. I would have blood tests, urine tests, saliva tests. They can tell you where you're deficient. The country, the United States, is currently undergoing a massive vitamin D, not shortage, but we don't get on average enough vitamin D, and you can be tested. There are tests for this online where you can log in, you get your information, they send you a kit, you prick your finger with a little needle, sterilized needle, you put it on a slide, you send it back, and they tell you your vitamin D levels. And if you don't want to do that and you have your annual physical, go to your doctor and ask to have all of your supplement levels, your nutrient levels tested. People are short on vitamin D, and so you need to take it. Vitamin D is such an important ingredient in our lives, and we don't get enough of it. And one reason we don't is the sun. We don't spend enough time in the sun. Human beings can actually manufacture vitamin D. I didn't know that. But because we put sunscreen on, and sunscreens with preservatives like parabens, we end up with a wide variety of low dose vitamin D, shortage of vitamin D in the blood.
So then doctors can tell you exactly what's missing. So can they really recommend you? Do they have the knowledge and the experience to recommend you the right supplement? What do you think, Mark?
And who is recommending? I didn't quite get that.
The nutritionist.
Oh,
the nutritionist.
Absolutely. And it depends on, it depends on what kind of a nutritionist you go to. There are holistic and alternative nutritionists as well as registered dietitians. Most nutritionists that I have talked to would recommend supplementation. There was an article within the last week in the Los Angeles Times reporting about a study that was done in Canada saying that supplements are useless, that they don't work, and they're a waste of money. Well, I want to know who paid for the study. I want to know how the study was done, because I don't believe that. There are too many studies to indicate that supplements of vitamin D help, supplements of vitamin C help. There are supplements for brain health. There are supplements for kidney health, heart health. All of these supplements have been either tried and true for hundreds, if not thousands of years, or studies have been done, clinical studies have been done to show that they are effective. And one of the reasons I like supplements is that there are little or no side effects. Now, nobody can say there are no side effects to something, because if you eat too much broccoli, you have a side effect, right? It's something that could help save on the use of gasoline. Broccoli produces gas that is burnable. It is usable. And so what we tend to do is we discount that as a side effect, but it is. Somebody may be allergic to something. I don't know. But I think in general, supplements are my first line of defense rather than a pharmaceutical or drug.
Excellent. Very often I like to speak with our guests about those who unfortunately will not be able to watch those videos because they are too young, right? But they're definitely important in our lives.
Absolutely.
We're also surrounded by kids and children all the time. We might have, our own kids or our relatives' kids. So I would like to ask you a question.
Sure.
How do you think that we could prepare our kids today so that they were not challenged by the same kind of challenges that our over 50s suffered?
Oh boy. In regards to health?
Yes.
Well, when I was a kid, I'd come home from school, not do my homework, and jump on my bike and ride around the neighborhood. We'd play ball in the street. I'd ride to the store and walk around. We'd walk up and down a street shopping. We'd play hide and seek. We'd do things. We were moving. Unfortunately, many kids today are on this, right? And they're texting their friends, they're playing video games. And I don't discount the technical savvy that young kids have. They've got great thumbs, and they understand computers easier than those who are older, because that's all they know. We still remember, writing with this on a piece of paper. The kids today don't do that. So I think that kids need to get out. I think they need to run and jump and play and be kids and not worry so much about their Facebook like you and I have to.
Exactly. Very true. So when you're planning your shows, again, after so many years and so many thousands of shows, what's next? What's in your mind? What do you do to decide, what's that particular edge that I have to give my shows so my audience just, likes and uses everything that I try to bring to them?
I thought you were asking a different question, so I had formulated a different answer. The question I thought you were asking is, where do you go next, Mark, in your career? So I'm going to answer that one first. And that is Mindalia TV. I mean,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Late Night Health belongs on Mindalia TV.
Thank you.
Meeting Alfredo and Eva in Spain. I met them in Los Angeles when was it? September, October, and
February.
Oh, it was February.
Time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun. And my wife and I were in Spain, and we hooked up with Eva and Alfredo, and they showed us such a beautiful time. And they are really wonderful people for bringing Mindalia TV and radio as well, audio, to the world. So I'm very pleased with that. That's my next career goal. To ask how I pick guests, I don't know. I find topics that are of interest to me. I think of myself as the every person, to use a theatrical term, based on every man in Greek theater. And so I picked something that I think would be of interest to me. A few weeks ago, I interviewed a man who is dedicating his life to helping children in South America with a foundation. And that's you. You help with their lives, their health, their education. And I try to bring in a spiritual aspect to health as well. They've done studies that indicate that if you have a belief in something bigger than what we are, something bigger than you, that you have a higher success of beating a disease or illness. You stay healthier. And going back to that love word, if you're loved by other people, all of these help to form a protection around you so that you don't get, really, truly sick.
Let me clarify. First of all, thank you very much for your generosity, Mark.
Sure.
I'm really touched. I'm sure that whenever Alfredo that Mark is talking about, they watch this interview, they're gonna be extremely, obviously, grateful and blessed for that. So that our audience knows Eva and Alfredo are the founders of Mindalia Television, Mindalia TV, Mindalia Televisao, 3 different channels that, we are a non-profit organization. So, and our goal in the world is basically to increase the consciousness level of the planet and to be able to share the knowledge of transformational leaders like Mark tonight, so that our audience gets the help that they need to live a better life, exactly the same way that Mark was describing today. So, again, thank you, thank you for your very kind words. So let's have a little bit of fun now, because 30,000, oh my God, it's so many. So could you share maybe 1 or 2 of the anecdotes that stood out throughout those years that you can still remember, things that happened in your show, or maybe even in your life, because definitely all this is alive. It's not only a show, but it's alive, parallel.
I can remember doing a show years ago. And the people were coming into the studio. We didn't have fancy equipment like we have now, right? And so this woman came in and asked for Mark Alyn. I said, hi. And she said, no, I'm looking for Mark Alyn, the talk show host. And I said, I'm Mark Alyn, the talk show host. She said, you can't be. I've listened to him. He's much older than you are. Radio is such an intimate medium that people build in their own minds, listeners build in their own minds what somebody looks like. That's why radio dramas and comedies were so popular. It's easier to watch TV than it is to listen to radio. You have to work at listening to radio. Music radio, maybe not so much. Music radio can be background. You could be reading, you can be talking, but if it's a talk formatted program, it has to be foremost, it has to be front and center. And so, as I said, people get different ideas of what you might look like. Another funny incident that happened, I was hosting a program, a TV show this time, and the set fell down behind me. And I went like this, and I said, the set fell down. And then I continued with the line of questioning. And afterwards, the executive producer of the show came over to me and said, why, you just went on. And I said, yeah, the show always goes on. I can't stop it. So I just went on. And it was kind of funny. I mean, the flat behind us fell down, went boom. I don't know why.
It just happened.
It just happened.
So you are in LA. Do you typically the people that you interview for your show, you said you just try to go with what you think it's going to interest your audience,
right?
And has there ever been a place where you have had maybe more than one guest at the same time, and maybe they weren't coinciding in their points of view, and there has been some sort of debate among them on health issues, because health is it can become a very controversial subject.
Only if we talk about things like Trump care and Obamacare. We've had a variety of guests on whose viewpoints differ from me. And as the host of the show, my job is to make the talk, the interview engaging. And I hope that I do that. Have we had people fight and yell and scream? We're not Jerry Springer. But having some contest where people go like that is always good radio, good TV. And so I encourage a back and forth discussion as long as it's civil. I won't let anybody yell at somebody else.
That's like extraordinary. There's so many controverted things, and I would like to talk or ask you a few questions about one of the, I would say, epidemics of this century. I've had many friends that have unfortunately died to this disease, and that is cancer. Okay, so I would like to ask you about, probably you've had a lot of people talking about cancer in your show, because there's, as you know, there's thousands and thousands of people dying of cancer. So what is, what have you seen? Have you seen any sort of trend or evolution in the way that people deal with cancer?
Well, not in the way they deal with it, the way they treat it. I think that the way a person deals with it is very personal. Everybody's different. You like strawberry ice cream and I like chocolate. Maybe we can share a little bit of each, right? But in terms of how a person would relate if they were diagnosed with cancer, I asked the question. One of the hardest interviews I ever did was with a man whose name is Smitty. Smitty had always loved radio, and he would come into our studio and just hang out with us. And lovely man, really a nice guy. Then I noticed that he wasn't coming in. So I asked my partner, the insane Daryl Wayne, don't ask, he truly is. I said, where's Smitty been? And he said, I've been wondering that too. So Daryl put out feelers and found out that he was suffering from cancer. And we still didn't hear from him. I let him alone. I figured he would call us if he needed us or wanted to talk. So Smitty shows up one day when we're doing the show and says, I've been diagnosed with liver cancer. I have stage 4 cancer. And I have 4 to 6 weeks left to live. And I just wanted to come and say goodbye to you guys. What do you say to somebody like that? What words of comfort, of love? So I knew that he had always wanted to be in radio. And I said, could you come in next week? Can I interview you? And his eyes widened up, big smile. He said, oh, yes. So I interviewed him. I asked him about when he was told he had cancer. I asked him what went through his mind. As you pointed out, Angel, I've interviewed many people. I have books behind me. I love cancer. Cancer loved me. Cancer changed my life. Thank God for cancer. All of these things. Smitty passed away about 4 weeks later. And I got a call from a family member saying that what I did was really appreciated by Smitty. He, as I said, had always wanted to be in radio. And they were thankful that I gave him somewhat of a chance. Never forget the guy or his comments to me, thanking me for doing what I thought was the right thing to do.
And have you seen, that's a very touching story. I mean, I've personally been or had very, very close stories as well. Do you see that there has been evolution in the treatment?
Yes and no. I'm not a conspiracy theory person. Okay. I'm really not. However, do I believe that cancer can be cured today? Yes, I do. Why isn't it? because the cancer industry is a multi-billion, that's with a B, dollar industry. And healthcare providers, big pharma, don't want to lose that money. I think it's a crime. Statistically, while cancer has increased in numbers, we have more people with cancer now than ever before in our history. I think that just to make money, and I'm a capitalist, I love making money. Don't get me wrong. But I really, really want cancer stopped in its tracks today. And I believe it can be done. Cancer itself has not, the treatments, even with all the new equipment and drugs, it's my understanding that the number of patients who are, in quotes, cured has not gone up. It's either stayed the same or dropped. So we're not doing enough to stop cancer.
Thank you for
that is my opinion, by the way.
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much for such an honest answer. I would like to ask you now, before going to the questions from our audience at Mindalia TV, I would like to ask you, where can our audience find you?
They can find me in California. Oh, you mean online? Okay. If you simply go to latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. That's the easiest and best way of hearing our show, seeing our videos. This interview, with your permission, will be up there on Late Night Health as well. Many of our guests' shows are loaded up on our website each and every week. So that's the easiest way. If you go to latenighthealth.com, you can also click on contact us and write me. I answer every email that we get personally.
Excellent. Fantastic. So let's go to the questions. Mark, with your permission.
Yeah, please.
First one. So on a regular doctor's appointment, we have very few minutes to speak to our doctor. What do you think about the amount of time and actual conversation the regular doctors have with patients?
I think it's a piece of crap. I know that they do that. I think it's a 7-minute window. If you're really sick, you're not going to get your time with your doctor that you really need. I know people who have booked 2 appointments and are willing to pay 2 appointment fees so they can have 10 or 15 minutes with a doctor. That's ridiculous. Docs, what tends to happen is that a doctor used to have, say, 15 appointments a day. Now they're doing 20 or more so that they can maintain their income level that they did before changes in their pay structure with insurance companies. And I think that's bogus. I think it's awful. So if you go into your doctor and only have 7 minutes, bring in a notebook, and a pen, have questions written out, hand them to him or her so that all of your questions are answered. Bring in a tape recorder. Use your iPhone or Android to tape his answers. You're not going to be able to write fast enough. And that's one way of getting around it. And in the meantime, there are doctors who will and do spend time with you. There are unfortunately fewer and fewer of them.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How to make sure we are getting the most out of a doctor's consultation?
Well, ask the questions, write answers, or record the answers. Obviously, let your doctor or healthcare practitioner, if it's a acupuncturist or a chiropractor, even a massage therapist might recommend something for you to do to ease the shoulder muscle or your feet or whatever. And what I would do is record their answers. I think that's a real important step.
Okay, excellent. What do you think about our current healthcare system?
Oh, is that a loaded question? It's broken. It's broken into a million little puzzle pieces, and nobody has the answer to put it back. I don't. I just know that a 7-minute visit with a doctor who I haven't seen in, say, a year, for my annual physical, is not enough time. I've aged, I've gained weight, I've lost weight, I don't feel good, whatever the issues are. And doctors are human. I don't know how a doctor can keep up with all of the big pharma information that's put out every week or every month. All the changes, don't know. I do not understand it. So the system is broken. Paying too much for a drug. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where somebody went into a CVS to fill a prescription. The prescription was quoted at $3,000. That's broken. Went to another pharmacy, $1,600, still broken. And he went to a third pharmacy, and they're charging him $14.95 a month for the exact same prescription. That's just not right.
Wow, what a story. What a story, Mark. Next one. Would you say that nowadays it is better to look for a holistic type of healthcare?
I can't make that blanket decision for everybody. I would like to be the supreme ruler of the world and make all the important decisions. But seeing that I have not taken over the country, the world yet, that's a very personal choice. And late night health allows people, at least from my point of view, allows people to make that choice. They can either go to an alternative doctor of one kind or another and have energy healing, and I think they have that right to do so. Or they can go to an allopathic or traditional doctor if they choose to do that. For me, I use alternative or holistic health as a first-line defense. If I'm not feeling well, I go to my nutritionist chiropractor, and usually do not have to follow that up with a visit to my GP, my general practitioner.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So how would you recommend to speak to our health providers?
By their first name. I was telling somebody this recently. I was at a family gathering and told everybody at the table I was sitting at that it's a good idea to call your doctor by their first name. And they said, oh, no, we have to show them respect. I said, why? They have to respect us. Not long ago, I went to an allergist. My wife made me go to an allergist. And as you know, Angel, I would have said no to my wife, but I didn't because I knew I had no chance of winning that argument. None. So I went to the allergist. He came in to the exam room and said, hi, Mark, I'm Dr. Smith. And I looked up his first name and I said, hi, Paul, how are you? Now, he was an older doctor. He said, well, I'm Dr. Smith. I said, I'm Mr. Alyn. And he said, point well taken. I recently went to was with somebody, a family member at a doctor's visit. Doctor came in said, "Hi, Mrs. Smith. I'm Mike Jones." I said, "Hi, Mike." And we were all on a first name basis. And the reason to do it is not a sign of disrespect, but it's to set the stage for your healthcare. You're partnering with that doctor or healthcare provider. And if you call each other by the first name, you're on that same level playing field. And you're the captain. The doctor is not.
That's a powerful message, Mark. Thank you.
You're welcome.
From your experience, with the stories and health topics, from your experience with stories and health topics, what are your personal beliefs about the origin of illness? Do you think it could have a somatic origin?
By semantic, did you say?
Somatic, S-O-M-A.
Oh, somatic, spiritual mind. Boy, this is a toughie. Thank you, Angel. I think that the mind plays a really big part in getting sick. If you're constantly depressed, if you're constantly worrying, inflammation can start, cellular inflammation. And that's the root cause of most diseases today. Now, this is going to sound a little weird, but we do have to die. I know that's strange, but eventually we have to go. And that's the scheme of things, the timeline of life. So we're going to die of one thing or another. It's just we'd like to die of another later. And that's why we need to practice the exercise, the supplements, eating clean food.
Excellent. Well, that was the last question, Mark. Really, I want to, thank you for sharing all that wisdom with us today. As usual, we have, helped a ton of people today, and to know that there's many other options and possibilities open. It's been a big pleasure. Thank you again for your generosity. And two things before we go.
Sure.
Number one, would you mind repeating again where we can find you online? And second, would you mind giving a piece of advice to our audience?
Sure. I'll go with number two. Always listen to Angel. Always. That's my advice. You didn't expect me to give you a straight answer, did you?
No way.
So always listen to Angel. That's one.
Thank you.
If you're a CEO, find him. He'll help. And you can find me at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. And it has been a pleasure, Angel. Thank you very much for your time and for inviting me here on Mindalia TV.
This is your home, Mark. This is your home. We are here, to serve you and to serve your audience. So
thank you.
Please. And again, this is, what a night. We've been really touched many times tonight. It's been a very special, very extremely special interview tonight. We obviously thank immensely Mark for being here with us. And again, for everyone, this is again Angel Rebo with Mindalia TV. Thank you for being with us tonight, and see you soon. Bye-bye.